Hello world from Oktopost headquarters. This is Radically Transparent, Oktopost's original podcast show on B2B marketing now. I'm your host, Jennifer Gutman, Director of Social Strategy, and in most episodes of this podcast, we'll feature B2B marketing leaders who will share their radically transparent truths behind being a modern-day marketer and what it takes to grow ideas, take risks, and impact change. Joining me on this episode of Radically Transparent is Catherine Dutton, an award-winning marketing leader with over 15 years experience in direct B2B marketing roles at Fujitsu and currently at Atos, where she is serving as Deputy CMO and leading the organization to marketing greatness. I'd also like to call out today that Catherine was just named in the top 100 B2B marketing leaders in technology in 2021 by hottopics.ht. Catherine, congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jen. What a welcome.
We're so excited to have you here. I mean, just for the audience to know, I went on LinkedIn this morning and saw all of these incredible announcements about Catherine, and my heart, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be speaking to her in just a few hours. So really the excitement has built.
Thank you. I am a normal person, honestly. It just seems that everything's just happened in the past couple of weeks. So
it's well deserved right after the year of 2020. Well deserved. But with that said, we'll jump right in. And, as our listeners know, I always like to start the show a little bit with the backstory behind. So I know you're at Atos now. So maybe you could give us a little bit of a backstory behind Atos and how you even found yourself there to begin with. It's gigantic.
Yeah, sure. So it is. And Atos, for those that don't know on the call, it's a worldwide digital services leader. We operate across 71 countries and we have a kind of annual turnover of about 11 billion euro revenue. So it's a huge organisation, huge. I guess how I found myself in Atos, I originally started my career with Fujitsu, which is a similar sized organisation. And I started there, a long time ago in 2003. And I actually did, I know it's a long time ago. I actually did quite a different range of roles, really, both client side, but also marketing. So I originally started working in sales. I also worked in account management, where I managed my own accounts. And I worked in lots of different kind of industry sectors as well. From a marketing perspective, I got into marketing about sort of 4 or 5 years into Fujitsu, where I came to a bit of a crossroads, where I was potentially going down the full account director route. And I thought, I could do that, but I'm quite a creative individual and I just fancied doing something slightly differently. And a role came up in marketing and I took it and basically worked my way up in different marketing roles. And I guess one of the things that I was always really good at in Fujitsu was linking marketing back to the impact that it has with the business and driving that business growth. And I think part of that came through from the client experience that I'd had in Fujitsu. And one of the programs that I ran when I was there, when I was leading the private sector marketing team, really drove a kind of step change for Fujitsu in terms of how it was linking marketing back to business. And off the back of that, I was headhunted actually for the role at Atos, which I mean, you laugh, but I said no a couple of times to going for an interview. And I then went on a leadership program and that was just a really great experience that made me go, do you know what, why am I saying no to these things? And sometimes opportunities come up for a reason. And the third, not even joking, but the third time that Atos called me, I went, yeah, okay, I'll come for an interview.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, and third time's a charm, and then I joined. So, and I really enjoy the work that I do at Atos. It's previously, before, obviously in the last week, it's been announced that I'm now our Deputy CMO. But yeah, previously I was running our UK and Ireland marketing team and we really drove a kind of transformation across that team. And then in the last sort of 12 months, I've been heading up our financial services and insurance marketing for us as a global organisation, which is one of our main industry verticals. So but again, everything that I've kind of done really marketing wise has been really about driving that business growth and driving that step change in marketing, and particularly how marketing is perceived internally as well as externally.
Which is equally as important and challenging.
Yeah, and it can be. And I think, for those of you that are listening, I'm sure you've all got some difficult stakeholders that you've had to work with at some point in time. And yeah, I think, it's slightly different in B2B world than B2C, where marketing's always, part of the global board driving the decisions. And for some reason, it's always slightly different in B2B. And I think, that value that marketers can add is equally as important in B2C world. So, it's really important for me that marketing is valued and seen as such. And I think by demonstrating that real business ROI is how we can actually change the perception of marketing.
Absolutely. And I think coming from a sales background, that experience on the floor in front of customers, it's invaluable for marketers. And, I'm just thinking of what you were sharing and what you're owning at Atos today and your journey. I mean, these are not small organizations. There has to be, right? There has to be something keeping you up at night professionally. Is there anything, that you worry about, or maybe has you tossing and turning a little bit at night?
Yeah, apart from, as you know, Jen, I've got a little 18-month-old, so that's always a treat in the middle of the night. But yeah, I think, current situation, volume of work. I don't know how everyone feels sort of, as we're coming out of COVID, but volume just feels immense actually, and particularly at the moment, I'm kind of currently juggling two jobs, so I haven't quite moved away from my old job yet. I think particularly with the pandemic, for me, it's really important that in leading teams, I really take a kind of personal responsibility for people, and it's important for me that people are happy at work. I think that can never be underestimated, and we spend a lot of time at work, so I do worry about people, and I worry about individuals, and I think I worry around always having that one step ahead, right, in terms of what we're doing from a marketing perspective, that we're not doing the same old thing that we were doing sort of 3 months ago, 6 months ago, because the world is changing at such a rapid rate. Technology is absolutely exploding everywhere, and it's so important that we do keep that one step ahead of what we're doing, and trying to make sure that from a marketing perspective we are ahead, and we're using those new techniques, we're adapting those new approaches to keep ahead of competitors, and really make sure that our brand stands out from other competitors.
You mentioned something regarding, the rapid rate of change and transformation. And I think in the B2B space, we've all kind of seen this coming for a few years, and then 2020 hits, and then it was super rapid. That leads me into my next question about digital transformation. Digital transformation, right? It's the term we keep hearing. We're not a stranger to what it is, but when I Google you, or when I Google Atos, I have to say, I mean, digital transformation is super challenging. It's a project undertaking, tough stuff. But your team, right? And you said that that's what keeps you up at night, right? Making sure they're happy. But your team must be doing something right. Because literally, when I Google you guys, I'm seeing like left and right, you're being recognized for your excellence in growth. I think I saw the 2020 Frost & Sullivan Growth Excellent Award. And then you snagged an ITSMA Marketing Excellence Award. Mm-hmm. I mean, my jaw's to the ground here at Oktopost when I see that. Can you share with us a bit about the marketing function that you're running, the diversity on the team, how you're scaling up? Like, how are you driving this mega successful, what seems on the outside, well-oiled marketing machine? Because it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, Jen, and it's not, I'll tell you now, it is not perfect, right?
Which is amazing. It's not perfect, and you're seeing it. So
it's not perfect anywhere, I don't think. But I think, some of it is around the culture, and I think we have some awesome, talented individuals within the team. And I can't stress that enough. it is absolutely about the people. Yeah, it's about the people that are driving some of this. It's not me. Yeah, it's not just down to me. It's down to those individuals. And people are extremely kind of hardworking, but very proactive, engaged, and positive, and people want to be part of something. Yeah, and I just think that mentality of people, that attitude, you absolutely can't underestimate. I think skills wise, people can build skills, but that attitude is something slightly different. And I think globally, obviously taking on the new role that I'm doing, huge potential, right? Huge potential for replicating some of the best practice that we've done in the UK team, in some of the global teams, and really taking that out to other countries, other industries. And you mentioned something around diversity, and leading a global team is really important to get the diversity right. And I've just mentioned around that kind of underlying attitude. I think absolutely, but having different kind of cultures, having different ethnicities, having kind of a gender balance as well, which it's quite funny. I do talk with people in the business around this, where we're typically, we're a digital services leader, but we put a real big emphasis behind gender diversity, in terms of making sure that we do promote females in the organisation where they should be recognised. And it's almost like in marketing we have the slight opposite, in that it typically tends to be more females in marketing. So I've put a big emphasis on, no, we've got to get the diversity right within the teams. And globally, it's really important that you've got those different kind of backgrounds for people, because there's so many different ideas that people bring that would work in certain countries that wouldn't necessarily work in others, and you've got to get that balance right. But I think globally, we've just started to, I guess, restructure our team slightly from a global perspective, which is what I'm going to be driving on as part of this new role. And
good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to need it. But part of it is making sure that we have marketers who are business marketers and very much focused on the industries that we operate in and the clients, and they're really close to clients. We have a global solutions team in place. We have an industry analyst relations team. We also have field marcoms, as we call it, the kind of marketing and communications in countries. But then the other bit that I'm really excited about, which I'm going to be leading on going forward, is building some new centres of excellence. So taking those bits of best practice that I've mentioned, and specifically the kind of account-based marketing, the deal-based marketing that we've won lots of those awards for that you mentioned, and taking that approach and building it to really build that centres of excellence so that we can do that approach and scale that up on a global basis. And that for me is really exciting, because that for me is where we are really engaged with our clients. It's where marketing should be. We should be playing, and it's where we can it makes a massive difference between whether we win or lose pieces of business. So I'm very excited about the centres of excellence and scaling up. I'm going to need luck on that one, I think, Jen. I think that's the hard bit, without losing that consistency in what we're doing, and building up that the same kind of attitude and culture that we've built in the team, is making sure we don't lose that in the process. So that's really, really important.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the attitude is everything, and I would absolutely agree with that. And when I'm thinking about your team and the employees, I don't know if you guys have any special internal name for Atosers or Atos.
We don't. Okay. We don't. I know what you're getting at, but we don't. Maybe we should. Yeah.
So for the Atos team, I mean, if you were to think about, what would define or make an Atos rock star on the marketing team today, if you could give maybe like a word or a small phrase on like what would be that one thing that would define a rock star.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, there's lots of words that I've got. I think, positivity. I genuinely believe if you've got positivity, you can drive a lot. Yeah. And not everybody has all the answers all the time. And sometimes I think, it's really great to be able to reach out to other people. So, a bit cheesy, collaboration. It's probably a better word for it, Jen, but, that real sense of being able to work with each other and reaching out to others, not being afraid to do that, I think is really key.
I love it. So I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit from positivity, and I'm going to ask you a little bit. I think everyone can acknowledge that failures are an inevitable part of success, and we can all probably think about our career journeys and list some of those. And I was hoping maybe today you could share with us a few that maybe there was a failure that at the time was kind of like, oh, ouch, and then looking back, it helped you become successful today. Have any insight or stories into those?
Oh God, I've had that many, Jen. People don't believe, but no, I seriously have. And you have those ones where you go, oh, at the time. People make mistakes every day. I think one of the toughest lessons, and I've got a funny one in my head, Jen, that I'll talk to you about.
We love funny. Let's go for it.
I'll talk about a funny one, but I think one of the toughest lessons that I've had is leading people and appreciating that not everybody has the same values that you might have, or might not approach things in the same way. And I've restructured teams a couple of times, and that personally I found really tough, and I've had tough lessons in there. But I think you've kind of got to, I think from that I've just learned that you've just got to stay true to yourself and treat people how you would want to be treated in particular situations, and just being as authentic and as you can be and communicating clearly. But I found that really tough on my journey, and got lots of people around me to thank for keeping me going through some of those situations. Funny failure, which I always, if I've got new kind of marketing execs or junior marketers joining, that I always talk to them about, because it's just, I find it funny now. I didn't find it funny at the time, Jen, but I find that when you talk to other marketers as well in different companies, that people always have a direct mail disaster. There's always these stories out there. Yes. So when one of mine happened, I had one of my colleagues, I'm not going to name, talked to me about his, and he'd had this great idea about sending some roses, and basically what he hadn't factored in was the shipping time. So all these dead roses appeared, and people. So everybody had a direct mail disaster, right? Mine was actually quite a clever idea, that it wasn't my idea, someone else had come up with it, around sending bonsai trees to senior executives, because I'm not going to name, but you can guess the company I was working for, the heritage, it all worked, and it was basically going to an organisation with a similar heritage. So there was this whole play on cultivation and time it takes to build those long-term relationships, and it was fantastic, right? It came with, and I'm talking like about 12 years ago, it came with a little brochure and the bonsai tree in this box. It was all beautifully packaged, and anyway, so these 40 or so sort of boxes all arrived at this headquarters. All I can say, Jen, is there was phone calls, there was a bomb scare alert went off, all like boxes appeared, but it got us noticed, right? It got us noticed, and just honestly, I could have died. I had a senior individual from the organisation that I worked for at the time call me and say, "What were you thinking?" We had the client on the call, and me being my cheeky self went, "Well, at least they've called us." That was the
There
end.
you go. Yeah, I mean,
my God, direct mails, bomb scares. Always check if you are sending boxes to an address, you check with their post stream first that they will accept them.
I think that's a great life lesson for all marketers, and especially especially as we enter the kind of pandemic, post-pandemic, where do we send things to at all days? But totally heed that advice.
I think most people have a sort of direct mail disaster when you speak to them. There's more out there.
We should definitely, I don't know if you're on Clubhouse or wherever, we should definitely maybe we should get some conversation thread going. If it's on LinkedIn, something to talk about that. And to be fair, I don't think I'll ever be able to look at a bonsai tree the same way after this podcast. But with that, I want to be fair to time, and I really thank you for coming on the show. And I have two questions left in the episode for you. And the first, again, the message that I'd love to be part of your team, because the message I keep hearing on this podcast, and even when I take a look at the content you post on LinkedIn and just the woman that you are, I know that your team and the people that work with you on every level, they're really important to you, and I can feel that throughout the episode. If you could share with them today, what's one thing that you'd like for your employees on the team to, whether it's words of advice or wisdom for the year or whatever it may be, what do you want most for the employees on your team?
Do you know what? It's not very business orientated, and but to have fun. I think some of the situations that we deal with day to day, and obviously everything that is going on in the world at the moment, we're dealing with serious stuff, but we've got to have fun. You only live once, don't you? And I think, I would love for, when people are retired and they're looking back on their careers, that they go, do you know what? I really enjoyed this. I had so much fun doing that.
There you go, right?
Because they're the things that you remember. You don't remember all the admin that you deal with and the day-to-day issues and things. You remember the big things. You remember the big things and the fun things and the people that you work with. So yeah, to have fun.
If you're not having fun, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
So my last question, which totally leads into, not exactly work related in any shape or form. So your LinkedIn profile, I think after this episode, I think you're going to gain a lot more followers. Highly recommend following Catherine, because she just puts out some great stuff. But I was hoping that you might be able to tell us, right? The bonsai story was pretty great. So we know, we know about bonsai trees. We know that you have an 18-month-old at home, so that's incredible. But could you tell us something about yourself that we're not going to be able to find on your LinkedIn profile, or if we Google the wonderful woman that you are?
Yeah. Oh God. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know. What would you not find on LinkedIn though? Because I do post a lot, right? I post personal stuff.
I love following you. Yeah, it's great. No, I feel so connected.
At the end of the day, we're people, yeah. Do you know, it's a bit of a serious one actually, but one thing that people don't know about me is that I can play the piano.
Can you?
Yeah, and I never took my grade 8 because I was petrified of failure. But I'm quite good at playing the piano, and I don't have one in my house. I've not had one for years, but what's
your favorite genre?
Do you know, I love all music, right? I love all music, but when I'm playing the piano, I like classical music.
Really?
It's real classical. Yeah.
Wow.
Really, really therapeutic, and same as I really like artwork, and I did art at college, and I'm quite creative. So you hear people. I mean, people in my team know this, but if I'm having a particular admin heavy day, I will call them and go, show me some creative, because that's why I'm in marketing. I'm really creative, so I guess that kind of whole music piece comes from there.
What's interesting is that I've had quite a few guests on the show, and I think there should be some sort of study done, maybe there is one, that marketers, most of us at some point in our lives have been musicians, performers. So we've had a flute player, we've had saxophone, pianists as well. So maybe the next episode will be all of us grabbing our instruments and putting on, because I have my piano right behind, a keyboard, I should say. I do. It's right in the back there. So we.
Amazing. I can't see it. It's amazing.
I'll lift up we just moved, and then there's that. So it's actually behind. I forgot that was there. Sorry, guys. But anyway, so we'll have to, when the world opens, calling all marketer musicians, we'll have to have a jam session of some sort. Catherine, thank you so much for such a fun episode, super insightful, and we wish you, on behalf of Oktopost, myself, and everybody listening, just wow, you are an inspiration to follow. We wish you and continue to wish you the world of success.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for tuning in to the Radically Transparent podcast brought to you by Oktopost, the only social media management and employee advocacy platform architected for B2B. I'm Jennifer Gutman, your host and director of social strategy here at Oktopost. And if you love today's show, we'd love if you subscribe, rate, and give a raving review wherever you get your podcasts. For more discussion on B2B social media marketing, be sure to follow Oktopost on LinkedIn. And of course, to gain access to all our free social media marketing and employee advocacy resources, head on over to our website, www.oktopost.com. Until next time.